It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. For whatever reason, people don't like to talk about the role of an Agile business analyst. And I think it does differ from a traditional business analyst. I really do believe that the accountabilities of the business analyst are definitely going to be different. So I thought I'd put together a quick episode just to encapsulate what a business analyst does, what an agile business analyst does, if there are any key differences and how it all plays out together. All right, so let's start at the top. So, what is a business analyst? Well, I hope you know this by now, but a traditional business analyst is the key interface between the end user and a project manager. Now, we all know that in Agile, we don't really have an Agile project manager. I'm doing air quotes while I say that. What we have instead is a product owner. So the business analyst becomes part of what I affectionately call the POBAFATA. So I bet you can guess which one the BA is. That would be the BA. So, what is their primary set of accountabilities and what do they do? Well, they need to engage with the consumers and understand all the consumers' wants, needs, whims, desires, problems. They also need to kind of have their heads around plan for growth, items that need action taken immediately, consumer insights. A lot of times, I want them to know social media so they can track and see how people are feeling about the products or services that are being produced. So, social media sentiment is one that people don't talk about often enough. I think that the true business analyst in this day and age is one who engages and understands all those things. Now, in the past, this person has also been responsible for understanding all the business processes, technical systems, business insights, business models. And truth be told, that's just a lot for a single person to get their head around. And this is where the concept of ba, fa, ta came from, where a functional analyst takes on all the strategic readiness, awareness, and business needs, and a technical analyst is the one who breaks down and understands the technical systems. But to understand all these different things and to ask all the right questions and to gather all the right information, this person would need to be either the greatest Jedi, or they would. It's just there's no one person that can do this. So oftentimes you would hear people refer to a business analyst team. And if you remember in the movie Office Space, I remember it's like, what exactly do you do? And they say, well, we take the specifications to the engineers. It's just it's one of those things where you really have to understand that there is a need for business analysis in project management, and there is a need for agile business analysts. But I think they really do need to be the great liaison, the great communicator to help make sure everyone understands the greater good of what's happening. Now, there are certain, how shall I call it, categories of business analysts. I've heard people say, well, I'm not just a business analyst, I'm an IT business analyst, in which case they have enhanced abilities or capabilities to deal with IT products and services. They have a greater understanding of a technical mindset. They're more analytical typically. But I think you get the gist of where I'm going with this. Overall, I think that the key responsibility for a BA is to make sure that you're having POBAFATA sessions. And what does that incorporate? What does it include? Well, the first one I like to talk about is the Backlog Item Creation Workshop. This is where these individuals all get together and they discuss what is going to incorporate the greater good of backlog item creation. And that's gathering the opinion strategically about what we're trying to do. From a consumer perspective, understanding how the consumer is going to interact with our product or service and what they're going to do. From a technical perspective, what technical value are we getting out of this? What is it going to add to the architecture or infrastructure that's going to help us do work better in the future? I think the key is that business analysts help build trust, mutual understanding, and strong communication between the stakeholders who represent the end consumer and the product owner who's responsible for putting together a backlog that the teams are going to be pulling from. So, in a way, the thing that I picture is that if you think of the BA as the person who represents the customer, and they start asking valuable questions. Why is this so urgent? What's on fire? What are your current most important or most urgent needs? What are the current conditions like? What sort of materials are you hoping to implement? How many people would be using this product or service? Do we have any communication barriers? And then ask yourself questions. Why do our consumers need this product or service? What do they have now that's currently either not working or not working sufficiently? What new needs do they have that the current product doesn't serve? What are our current conditions? And do we need to be aware of things that would prevent us from moving forward? What kind of systems or processes do they currently have in place? What kind of flow are they expecting for delivery? How many people do we have internally that are available to work on this? Do we have any external dependencies? All of these things are incredibly important for the business analyst. And what I've done is I've thought through and put together what I call a business analyst working agreement. And this BAWA, I got to give it an acronym. Come on, you know how I am. The business analyst working agreement comes in and talks about things like what are the expectations or ground rules at any of our sessions that include the business analyst? And I think that those go like this. I'm going to give you like the top 8 or 10. So here we go. The first one is respect everyone's opinion. Everyone's going to come in with an opinion, and everyone's going to have differing opinions sometimes, where people are going to think some things are more or less valuable. It's important for the analyst not to come in with bias. The analyst needs to be neutral and understand. And with that, they need to not make assumptions, right? Assumptions are based on the way other people feel. So it's important for them to come in completely neutral and respect everyone's opinion. They need to come in with the understanding that everyone is expected to contribute, that everyone's going to have an opportunity to talk through and to discuss and brainstorm because everyone's opinion is important. Okay. But there's always a chance that unimportant discussions will creep in. Unimportant discussions should be limited, if not completely thwarted. Those are the time consumers that kill us. The next one is probably one of my more interesting ones on my list. Discuss the issues or what's happening and not the people specifically. If you talk about what people are experiencing and not who is experiencing it, it's going to help set you up for success. Side discussions during these sessions should be avoided. We need to make everything part of the public record. If we need to have a one off or a side discussion, it should happen outside of these types of meetings. Make sure you're on time and use good time management skills just like you would with every other meeting. Write down everything that you need to for documentation and capture the context. I think too often BAs understand exactly what the consumer's needs are. Product owners create stories that reflect that, but we miss the context that ties it together. And then when you present this to the team says, "Tell me more. Why do we need this?" And you're like, "Oh, we just had that meeting." And the team's like, "Yeah, but I wasn't there." So I think it's important for you to make sure you have the right people in the meeting, that they're practicing true active listening skills, and that you are really doing analysis that makes sense. So before the session, you're preparing people, making sure they understand what we're going to talk about, that there's a clear agenda, defining the purpose and desired outcomes for that meeting, writing down all the questions so there's no doubt what's going to be discussed, and make sure that you're identifying any, or if you have any supporting documents that need to be present in order for decisions to be made, that they do wind up in the place where they need to be. Now, for example, during a backlog item creation session, you want to make sure you stick to the agenda, respect all the ground rules we discussed, identify requirements, identify the personas that are going to be involved, look at a storyboard or a journey map that's going to show you how the persona goes through the flow. Write down questions, and if you have any doubts, write those down too. And ask to go deeper at times when you need to. But if you have a general business understanding, let your gut instinct rule, because what we're going to find is that your gut instinct is usually right. And I think that if you follow these practices, it's going to help you as a business analyst, specifically as an agile business analyst, do your job more effectively and be happier at work. That's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed this session of the Daily Stand Up Podcast. If you have a topic you want us to discuss for a future episode, please feel free to reach out to us. Learn more at agiledad.com. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.